Are the economic models that guided the 20th century still relevant today? For decades, the world has largely operated under economic principles that championed free trade and global cooperation. These models, epitomized by the likes of North America and Southeast Asia, have certainly had their moments in the sun, fostering unprecedented economic growth and integration across borders. However, as we delve deeper into the 21st century, it's becoming increasingly clear that these traditional economic paradigms are facing serious challenges. The landscape of global economics is rapidly changing, influenced by shifting geopolitical dynamics, technological advancements, and significant demographic shifts. Take, for instance, the robust economies of North America and Southeast Asia, which continue to thrive under these traditional models. Their success is underpinned by strong regional cooperation and the ability to adapt quickly to new economic realities. Yet, this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. The effectiveness of these models is not universally applicable, raising questions about their sustainability and relevance in other regions. As we see a rise in economic nationalism and protectionism, regions are increasingly tightening their economic ties within more confined regional clusters. This shift is creating new economic power centers, which operate independently of the global trade norms established in the last century. This evolution leads us to a critical junction. As some regions consolidate and strengthen internally, what becomes of the nations that do not fit into these emerging clusters? As we witness the tightening of regional economic clusters, we must ask, what happens to those left outside these clusters? As Germany approaches mass retirement, can the European Union sustain itself? Germany, long heralded as the economic powerhouse of Europe, is on the brink of a seismic demographic shift. As its population ages, the implications ripple across the entire European Union. Traditionally, Germany has been the largest net contributor to the EU budget. However, with an increasing number of retirees, the nation is poised to transition from a contributor to a beneficiary. This shift raises profound questions about the sustainability of the EU's financial structure. Imagine the backbone of the EU, now bending under the weight of its own aging demographic. As Germany seeks more support than it provides, the financial equilibrium of the EU is threatened. This could potentially lead to a domino effect, prompting other member countries to reevaluate their positions within the Union. France, with one of the best demographic profiles in Europe, may find itself unwilling to shoulder an increased financial burden, especially one that benefits Germany. Historically, the French economic strategy within the EU has revolved around leveraging German wealth to stabilize the region. This symbiotic relationship is now at risk of unraveling. If France, driven by demographic advantages and economic self-interest, decides to exit the EU, it could lead the charge for other nations to follow suit. Such a scenario would not only redefine the economic landscape of Europe but also challenge the very essence of European unity. The potential fallout is immense. Countries might exit the EU, each seeking to secure their economic future independently rather than collectively. This could lead to a fragmented Europe, where regional blocs and alliances form based on immediate economic and demographic advantages, rather than overarching European identity. With the potential dissolution of the EU, Europe stands at a historic economic crossroads. As we watch these dynamics unfold, the question remains, will the European Union as we know it adapt or dissolve? This pivotal moment in European history is not just about economic policies or financial contributions, it's about the sustainability of a union in the face of inevitable demographic changes. What does a fragmented Europe mean for regional collaborations? As Europe's economic unity feels the strain of demographic and political shifts, intriguing regional alliances begin to crystallize. In the north, we see the potential rise of a Scandinavian network. This isn't merely a geographical grouping but a strategic alignment, underpinned by relatively strong demographics and robust ties with both London and Washington. Sweden and Finland, for instance, have shown a proclivity towards NATO, signaling a shift towards more secure, defense-oriented policies. This could herald a new era where these nations not only share borders, but also economic strategies and security frameworks. Moving to the west, the Francophone countries are poised to carve out their own economic sphere. This isn't just about shared language or culture, it's about a collective economic resilience. France, with one of the better demographic profiles in Europe, could lead this charge. The irony here is palpable. Historically, France aimed to have Germany foot the bill. But as Germany faces its own fiscal challenges, France might just pivot to a leadership role, driving the Francophone regions towards more integrated economic policies. Then there's Iberia, potentially under Mexican sponsorship, which could apply for NATO membership. This move would not only redefine Iberian foreign policy, but also potentially enhance its economic ties across the Atlantic, bringing a fresh dynamic to its traditional European connections. Regional alliances could redefine Europe's economic landscape in unexpected ways. As these blocs solidify, they promise a tapestry of interlinked yet distinct economic zones, each with its own strengths and strategies for the future. Central Europe faces a demographic decline. What are the economic repercussions? In Central Europe, the population is aging rapidly, and birth rates have plummeted below the level needed to sustain current population numbers. This demographic shift presents a stark contrast to the situation in Italy, where despite similar challenges, geographical and historical advantages offer a buffer that Central Europe lacks. Here, the demographic crisis deepens without the cushion of being a traditional tourist hub or a political economic bridge like Italy. The core issue is the shrinking workforce, unable to support an increasingly elderly population. This imbalance threatens the economic stability of the region, raising questions about the viability of these economies without substantial external support. Historically, nations such as the United States have stepped in to provide financial aid to countries facing economic difficulties, as seen with Israel and Egypt. However, the scale of assistance required by Central Europe could be unprecedented. The economic fabric of Central Europe is intricately woven with that of the broader European Union, yet as demographic pressures mount, the strain on economic alliances and resources intensifies. If the leading economies like Germany face their own fiscal challenges, the ripple effects could lead to reduced financial support for neighbors. As Central Europe stands at this crossroads, the international community watches closely. The decisions made in the coming years will not only shape the economic landscape of the region, but also set a precedent for how global powers address demographic and economic challenges in an interconnected world. The future of Central Europe hangs in the balance, with tough decisions looming about international economic support. As the global economic order shifts, what does the future hold for international cooperation? Gone are the days when a one-size-fits-all economic model could be applied universally. The world is witnessing a pronounced pivot from a global to a regional focus in economic strategies. This shift is not merely a trend but a response to the unique political, economic, and demographic challenges that different regions face. Take Europe, for example. With the potential dissolution of the European Union as Germany approaches mass retirement, the continent may see a fragmentation into economically sovereign regions. The Scandinavian countries, with their robust demographics, are likely moving towards a tighter network, possibly enhancing ties with London and Washington. Meanwhile, the Francophone countries, led by a demographically resilient France, might forge a distinct economic path, diverging significantly from their historical reliance on German economic support. In Southeast Asia and North America, however, the traditional economic systems still hold strong. These regions demonstrate how tailored economic models can foster closer ties and greater economic integration without sacrificing autonomy. They are tightening their economic relationships, creating a more cohesive yet regionally focused economic order. This regionalization of economic models offers a fascinating insight into how economies can adapt to local conditions while maintaining international relationships. It suggests a future where economic models are as diverse as the regions they serve, each tailored to local needs yet interconnected by the threads of global trade and diplomacy. Moreover, this shift could lead to political stability by incorporating political voices into the economic framework, rather than silencing dissent through harsh measures. By aligning economic policies more closely with regional characteristics and needs, these new models could foster a sense of ownership and participation among local populations. The evolution from a global to regional economic framework may offer new pathways for stability and prosperity. As we rethink economic models, what are the key takeaways for global and regional leaders? The traditional economic frameworks that have guided us for decades are showing signs of strain, particularly in Europe, where the impending demographic shifts and financial burdens are nudging the continent towards a pivotal economic reconfiguration. The anticipated breakup of the European Union illustrates not just a regional shift, but a fundamental transformation in how economies are structured and managed. This scenario isn't just about Europe. The rise of regional economic clusters suggests a broader trend towards localized economic models. Southeast Asia and North America might still find the old systems workable, but for many other regions, innovation in economic strategies is not just beneficial, it's necessary for survival. The potential regionalization of economic models could lead to more tailored economic policies that are more directly responsive to the unique challenges and opportunities of each region. For instance, Scandinavia might leverage its strong demographic profile and international partnerships, while the Francophone world might chart a course that capitalizes on its cultural and linguistic unity. Leaders worldwide need to recognize these shifts and prepare to adapt. This means fostering flexibility in economic policies, enhancing regional cooperation, and investing in sustainable development to ensure economic resilience. In this era of economic transformation, embracing change and fostering regional cooperation could be the key to navigating the uncertain waters ahead.